We had a good conversation about Jalen Brunson, our KFTV Player of the Week. The question is, should he be getting more respect and on the MVP ladder? And here's what head coach Mike Brown had to say in that regard after the Knicks win over the Magic. Here was Knicks head coach Mike Brown on Captain Clutch Jalen Brunson and the MVP respect. Here we go.
When you have an MVP of the league candidate in Jalen Brunson, 16 for 27, 40 points, he makes the game easier for everybody. That's what MVPs are supposed to do, and he definitely did that tonight. He scored for us when we didn't have much going with our offensive movement and stuff like that. And again, you give Orlando credit and to play good defense, but you got a guy like that can go get it, and he keeps you in the games, and he helps you get leads, and at the end of the day, he carries you home. So it's beautiful to be able to see him do what he's more than capable of doing on a national stage like this, in an environment like this, so that hopefully, you guys as media and the fans out there can continue talking about him as an MVP of this league, because that's exactly what he is.
Over here on the right, last question.
Mike, you've been pretty adamant about Jalen as an MVP just in the past 10 minutes. Do you think he hasn't gotten the notoriety, the credit for that? Because it seems like it's like a campaign speech you've been given.
There's no campaign speech. I'm just telling the truth, and he has not gotten enough credit. I mean, no offense to you guys, but I try not to read a ton on social media or your guys' stuff, because it can mess with your mind. If you guys are saying good stuff about us, I can get too high, and if you're saying bad stuff, I can get too low. So I try to block out all the noise and stay even keeled. But what I have seen, every time I've seen somebody bring up conversation about MVP, you see a lot of other great candidates that are well deserving, but I don't ever hear Jalen's name. And when you're first or second in either conference and you're putting up the numbers that he's putting up, his name's got to be one of the first names coming out of somebody's mouth. And so I just hope to see that more, not by the local people in New York, because they get to see him every day, but by the national people. And that's what I want to get across.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Al. How are you with Coach Mike Brown? Is Captain Clutch Jalen Brunson getting enough respect as it relates to the MVP ladder?
Is he getting enough respect?
Yeah.
No. We already know that, man. This is not news to us. We just talked about what we're seeing out in social media with, who to cut, bench, and start with that nonsense. So, and you're even seeing, you got even Bill Simmons right now talking about other guys who are ahead of Jalen Brunson and his importance to this team. So I don't think he gets the appropriate respect. I think it's also because it's the Knicks. I think there's part of it due to the relationship that Dolan has created with, the media and out there. So, I think that's all factors into why he may not be getting the flowers that he deserves, but he certainly deserves them. I mean, let's think about even a few years ago where you have the talks about Halliburton, how he's, leading his team. And, there's not enough conversation about what Brunson's doing for his team. And that was the same year once again. He did end up finishing top 5 in MVP voting, but that was still the same year where you're talking about dealing with all those injuries, and then you beat Philly in that round. I don't think he gets enough of the credit, man. I know that everyone likes to go to the new shiny object, so it's like, oh, Cade finally has a team, and look what he's doing, We know what SGA is, who is certainly deserving to being in those conversations after what he's done last year and how the team's performing this year. But you certainly hear Jokic, to Mike Brown's point, on the Denver Nuggets, who are the second best team in the West right now. You hear his name up there. Start of the season when the Bucks were, actually doing well, Giannis's name was up there.
Giannis's name was up there.
But now you're not going to hear it because he's injured and the Bucks are, close to being on the outside looking in. Where's Brunson's name? Do you hear anything about Brunson? Do you see anything in the news about Brunson being on the MVP ladder? I don't see it. And so I don't think he gets the recognition that he deserves, but I also think it's, one, they're also going to look at this team, especially when you go last year where it's like, oh, well, he's got the best team, so why should we look at him? And I think if you don't do it justice by watching how the Knicks play and seeing, to Mike Brown's point, how he makes the game easier for everybody else, you really won't see that impact that he has on this team, man.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm with Mike Brown as well, in that on the national stage, you really don't hear it. And it is interesting given the fact that the Knicks are getting more national TV games every year. So you would think that he would kind of garner that respect, but there just seems to be that, yeah, but with Jalen Brunson. Like, yeah, he's a good scorer, but then the made-up free throw merchant narrative, which is just ridiculous, right? He's a great scorer, but, you know, it's the Knicks, and as you said, you have that anti-New York bias, which some of the national media do have. Let's just keep it real. So I definitely do think that there is a bit of a bias against Jalen Brunson when it comes to getting the MVP respect. At the same time, over the last 3 years, we've kind of been on that Shea versus Jokic battle with the top two. And yeah, every once in a while you'll get conversations about Giannis or that third guy. Right now it's Luka. But typically on the national stage, it's really about the top two guys, which is Shea, who won the championship, and the Joker, who arguably is the best player in the sport. So that's, you know, that debate is raging on now in year 3. So I do think you're not going to hear much on the national scale for guys lower on the ladder, but certainly here in New York, you'll hear it. Obviously, you know, the guys know that. Everybody here appreciates Brunson, knows what the Knicks have in Jalen Brunson, but from a national stage, it's just a little bit harder. And when you look at the MVP ladder, this is according to NBA.com. Let's take a look at it. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. When you look at the MVP ladder, they've got Jokic number 1. This is as of last week. Jokic number 1, Shea number 2, Luka number 3. Now they've got Cade, as you said, the shiny new thing. Cade number 4, Jaylen Brown number 5, and then they had Jalen Brunson number 6. Let's see what happens tomorrow when the MVP ladder comes out. Does Cat move up 1? But what do you think, man? What do you think about this top 5 and Brunson being number 6? Would you move him if you think he should be moved? Would you move him?
So hold on one second. So he's number 6. So 1 and 2 was, you said SGA is number 1 right now?
Jokic, this is as of last week. Jokic, SGA, Luka, Cade, Jaylen Brown. And then you have Jalen Brunson, number 6.
I mean, Luka's having a really good season right now. Lakers are 4 right now in the Western Conference. I also understand. This is what I also understand how they look at it. You're still going to get that Western Conference is tough, so they're going to weigh the wins and the standings out there a little bit more than what they do in the Eastern Conference. However, the fact that you have Jaylen Brown, and I get why Cade is up there, choice number 1 right now, Brunson should be there above both those guys. He just should. I mean, look, the Celtics are 3 right now. I know they've kind of gotten back on track. Jaylen Brown's doing, you know, his part for that team and keeping them competitive. But this is, once again, we're going into year 4, Jalen Brunson being a New York Knick. At this point, there's a trail. There is evidence of what he's capable of, regardless of the roster construction. Whether it's RJ, Quickly, Grimes on this team, whether it's Cat, Bridges, OG, Hart obviously being the mainstay for all that time. But we've seen what Jalen Brunson is capable of doing. So the fact that now you see Cade with a better team the last 2 seasons, that now he usurps Jalen Brunson, who hasn't even gone farther than Jalen Brunson. Keep in mind, Jalen Brunson joins his team. He has yet to not make it past the semis. 3 years in a row, he's at minimum got you to the semis, last year being the first time to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think he could do it again, barring no injury, right?
Yeah.
Everyone healthy. I think he could do the same thing again, get you to at least the second round. We know that he's been capable of that. Mind you, he's done it with lesser talent, guys being injured, guys being out. So I'm just saying he should be above those 2 guys. You want to have the argument about even Luka based on how he's doing it this season? I may even argue to say put him above Luka right now, because for what he's doing for this team based on the conference, it's tough, man. Tough. But you can have the argument for Luka, but definitely above Jaylen Brown and Cade.
Yeah. I would say I think the top 3 are fair. I do think the top three. I mean, you got Luka leading the league in scoring and third in assists. I think that is fair to have him there. 35 points per game is pretty damn beast mode, even though, the Lakers are where they are. But they, as you said, you give him the West edge. But he's having a great year. Top two speak for themselves. The Cade factor, the fact that he does have Detroit number one in the East, even though I think the Knicks are the best team in the East, the fact that he has them there with the numbers, the assist numbers as well, I could certainly understand him being there at 4. I won't complain about that. I would move Cap above Jalen Brown. We have a better team. To me, he's having a better season. But again, I can see the Brown factor, given that no one really expected the Celtics to be third in the East. And with no Tatum and a severely short supporting cast, Brown is kind of shouldering a lot of the weight there for the team. So I understand it, but I'm still putting Cap above him. As you said, the numbers are outstanding. I consider the Knicks the best team in the East, even though they're tied so far 1-1 against Boston, and they haven't played Detroit yet. I still think the Knicks are a better team than both of them. But I also believe that it's almost the fact that they are so deep that kind of hurts them. It's almost like Tatum with the Celtics when they were at full strength and when they won the championship. It's hard to win the MVP that way when you have so much talent on this team. We just talked about the fact that, yeah, he's getting his numbers. You also got 5 guys in double figures. Sometimes that goes against you, man. Sometimes it goes against you, unfortunately. But whether it's 5, 6, I think on the latter, I'm okay with where his position is right now.
I hear you on that. Couldn't you argue, though, and I'm just going to say this, and while I understand that argument that's saying, hey, you have a really good team, it kind of like dampens your impact. Couldn't you argue the same thing for SGA? Couldn't you argue the same? I mean, I feel like even in years past, you can even argue the same thing for Jokic, too. Like that 4 that they had, even with Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, Jokic, that's even KCP, that's a damn good starting 5, man. They did win the chip, but, and this is not saying like you're saying it. I'm saying I understand where the media comes from. Like, oh, well, you got all these players on your team. I mean, I know SGA is the guy that stirs a drink for the Thunder. He's the same thing as Jalen Brunson in my eyes, where you need both these guys to put the teams where they are in their place. Granted, now, SGA, I would give SGA the edge just because he is a two-way player. Defensively and offensively, he goes out there
right,
and I'll give him that, right? So that's where it's tough. But if you want to use the whole, well, look at the team, I'm kind of like, well, you got J-Dub, you got Chet, Ihart's a really good center for that team. That bench is deep. Like Caruso does a phenomenal job coming off the bench for that unit too. Like they got some guys. So while I hear the whole team is good, other teams are also good with those guys on the roster. Once again, I think for people who are not, for the national media who's not tuning into Knicks games frequently, or they got some, New York bias, you gotta tune in and remove that bias to see the importance of Jalen Brunson.
There you go, man. I mean, I understand what you're saying with SGA, but as you said, the fact that he is a two-way player and with those assist numbers, he does still do a lot to make that team a good team. They are a deep team. They are a very good team, and Chet is certainly taking a level up. You have J-Dub as well, but to me, it's SGA still the straw that kind of stirs that drink, and so that is why, hey, he is the reigning MVP and why he is up there again. I think you could have argued he could have won it the year Jokic has won it. You could have argued for Jokic the next year. It's kind of splitting hairs, especially when you look at the top 2. But I definitely hear what you're saying. So what do you guys think in the chat, man? Is the Brunson disrespect as it relates to the MVP topic? Leave some comments in the comment section, and we will shout you guys out. Shout out to one of our sponsors, Al, and that is at Shop Doer. Make sure you guys check out Shop Doer for the holidays because, listen, man, those are premium quality jeans. And, hey, those of you that saw me at the watch party last night on Saturday night, I had my Doer joints on now because it keeps me cool, calm and collected, because at the end of the day, man, I'm always on the move. I'm at the watch party. I'm here doing the show. I might be at the Garden catching the game. So because I'm always on the move, I need jeans that can keep up, Al. That's why I've been rocking my Doer jeans. And let me tell you, man, it's an absolute game changer. They got 5 times the stretch of regular denim. So whether I'm hustling through NYC or posted up at the watch party, they move with me because they're made with Cool Max technology that keeps you cool when it's hot, warm when it's cool, and they're even antibacterial, Al. So they stay fresh longer, less washing, more wearing, and obviously that's a win, man. The perfect combo, style like jeans, comfort like joggers. You look sharp, you feel good, and you're ready to take on whatever the day throws at you. So do yourself a favor, go to shopdoer.com/KFTV right now and get 15% off your first order. That's shopdoer.com/KFTV. So once you put on a pair of Doers, you're not going back to your old jeans. So Shop Doer, made for the Doers, made for the franchise.